Do. All right. Just about ready to start. Come on. What's going on here? Okay. What? Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, okay. So, sorry about the delayed setup. So I found something pretty interesting. There's a couple of different versions of this TTGO board that have a couple of different versions of electronics. This one has this chip here, which is a little bit different than the 1.2 versions, which is an IPS, not an IPS, an IP5306 card, or chip rather. And this thing is a pretty interesting power management chip. It handles charging for the USB. It is better thing to point with here. It's connected to this inductor here because it has a boost converter in it, and it has a power on, power off functionality. What that means is I have this hooked up to a power supply now, not connected to USB because USB bypasses that mechanisms as it is specific to battery control. Let's turn on the regulator, or the power supply rather, and notice when I turn on the power supply, TTGO doesn't come on. I have to hit this guy, which is connected to the reset pin on the ESP32, but also connected to a button input on the IP5306. And when it's on and fully booted, right, it shows SD fail, right? That's what normally happens in the built-in test app. And then I can, switch to accelerometer. I disconnected the buzzer, so this buzzer test doesn't do anything, and then it does like a Wi-Fi scan when I hit the third button just for demo, right? And then magic is if I double press, then it turns off, right? You see that power usage goes to 0, single press turns back on. Now this is pretty good except for one oddity. If you look at the data sheet for the IP5306, this button actually does 3 things. Press once to turn on, press twice to turn off, and long press greater than 2 seconds to turn off the LEDs. And that turn off the LEDs turns out to be a problem. So you see here SD fail, double click or double press turn off, single press turn on. And if I hold down this thing for 2 seconds, right? Well, one of those lights actually got turned off. Actually, it doesn't. It turns off when I press the button, and it's still on, right? And there's no changes because the LED outputs for the IP5306 don't seem to be connected. But now, the power on, power off doesn't work. I can only, it's still connected to the reset pins. When I tap it or when I click it, the ESP32 resets, but now it won't power off anymore. Kind of after a long pressing, the 5306 seems to be kind of locked in the power mode that it's in, then I have to disconnect the battery, right? And then reconnect it, and then it will return to its previous behavior or normal behavior where I click and it turns on, I double tap and it turns off. It can also get stuck in off mode. So if I hold this down for 2 seconds, now when I single click, I can't turn it on. And again, the power management chip, the IP5306 seems to be stuck in this mode, and after long pressing, you get stuck in whatever power state you're in, and again, you have to disconnect the battery, right? Reconnect the battery, and then you're back to normal. And so this is kind of a problem if I depend on this as the sole power switch, because it's quite easily to kind of effectively lock up the power state. Either have the device stuck on or stuck off accidentally if you do the long press. And that's kind of a disappointment, because it means that I can't depend on this solely as the only on-off mechanism, and then say permanently seal this in a battery inside of a case glued shut, because you still need some way of resetting this battery in the event that you hold down this switch for more than 2 seconds. So I need to go kind of back to the drawing board to figure out what I'm going to do about this.